Hey, what's up YouTube? It's Blackwater 911 here to show you guys how I fix my yellow lighted dust. As you guys know, I have a PlayStation tower. I basically took my yellow lighted death, resurrected it by placing it into a computer tower. And then I put my PS2 in there, and then I put my PS1 up here. Just so it's one big happy family, you know, everybody can hang out. But so basically, you know, I just took the PS1 motherboard, PS2 motherboard, basically what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take the whole PlayStation apart. Up top cover's got like 6 screws. Just remember which ones go where. You can find any wear on YouTube. I don't know how to disassemble it, but I'm just going to show you the easiest parts first. So what you're going to do is you're going to disconnect your Wi-Fi controller, because that back there is for your wireless card. So then we're going to disconnect the power source, Blu-ray player. Now be very careful, like especially with the Blu-ray ribbon cable and these thin ribbon cables right here, and the clips. The clips you just are going to pull forward on all these. Pull them up towards you like that, and then just pull it out. And I'm going to tell you this because if you so much as break one of these clips, especially the Blu-ray player's clip, you are going to be you're going to be really sorry you did that, because you can't order those clips. And installing them would be probably a nightmare. It just depends on what plastic components are broke. I'm just telling you because I have done it before and it sucks ass. So, like I was saying, this is your Blu-ray cable that you're gonna have to disconnect from the motherboard, and you're just like I said, you just be very careful on doing that, and use a flathead screwdriver, a little flathead screwdriver to do it. Which I don't have. I'm going to use my fingernail. See how it just pops up. Don't be careful with the Blu-ray player, because it's got, some of these don't have exposed, but certain models have exposed components. So just set that over here in the graveyard that I have. And then your power supply is going to be screwed down with 4 screws. So go ahead and take those screws out and I'll be right back. Alright, so once that's done, you obviously got the power supply back here too, that you need to cable that you need to take out. So then you're just going to lift this off. There's going to be 2 little prongs that actually connect the power source to the motherboard itself. So just to make this short and sweet, you got 2 more screws right here that you need to take out. Like our main focus on what we're wanting to get to once we get this motherboard off is going to be concentrating on getting this separated from the board, because this is actually this is the heat sink attached to the CPU and graphics card on the back side of it. So you're going to have some more screws removed. Go ahead and remove those screws. I'll check back with you. Okay, so once you get those screws taken off, you basically you're taking it off of the. Some of these are actually mounting it, and some of these are actually keeping the board together. The ones with the arrows are the ones that mounted into the plastic, that actually went into the plastic. So yeah, you're going to take this cable off. I'll do that here in a second because I'm holding the camera with the other hand. But you obviously know that you had to take your Wi-Fi off, so you undid one little screw. You already disconnected it. So you go ahead and turn it on its side. Be sure you got all the screws out. God, I should have planned this better. Pull this out of here. Just kind of jiggle it, because you still got a black piece of plastic attached back here. And then your hard drive too. Don't forget to take that out. I suppose I probably should have just told you to do that at the beginning, but if you didn't, right now is a good time to go ahead and take that out of there and disconnect this. This is your fan. Alright. So, now that we got that done, looks like we're going to have to take this fan off here. There's little clips back here you can pop your back off with. The fan, once you get those screws undone, take it out. Put it to the side. And that's that. Okay, now you're at the point now to where you can go ahead and flip the board over. And once you flip the board over, this is the 2 screws we got to focus on. So go ahead and take those out. All right, now that I magically removed the screws due to the advances in video technology, we're going to go ahead and pop up those 2 little silver things. Now, this is the part where you need to pay attention because there's this big, like, little galvanized steel loop right here. That's the front of it, so you're going to have to pull it from the front up. Okay, so once you get it off, now you're going to have your green board up. Now you can pull the board off the heat sink. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this with one hand. Oh, actually, I'm sorry, there's some tabs you got to pull. You got to actually pull this off because it's got your HDMI and your LAN connections back here, so that's alright to bend that because it's not going to hurt anything. You probably have to kind of bend out on all these tabs a little bit just so you don't scratch the board. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start from the back this time when we're pulling the board up, because the reason I say that's because there's thermal compound that's actually kind of holding that together. But it should fairly come off pretty easy for you. At this point, you just want to be sure that these little buttons back here, you kind of just like push in on them as you're lifting it, because that's where it's at. I mean, that's why it's such a pain in the ass to get these things off here. What you need to do here, now that you got your heat sink, is before you set it off to the side, this is probably a good point to go ahead and get some denatured alcohol or some Misporal rubbing alcohol, and go ahead and get a Q-tip or a cotton ball or something, or maybe like it doesn't really matter, a rag, anything will do. And then you just going to go ahead and clean that up real nice and shiny, and be sure that you detail it real good, make it look nice and clean, like you could eat off of it, and that way you'll know that you've done your best job on that, and that you shouldn't have any problems. All right, so now we need the green board. Same thing. You can see that. I know Sony did this because this is their thermal compound. Because the guy I was talking to at work that has this says that he'd never opened it or anything. I mean, he kind of looked inside of it. But once you clean that off, I also want to tell you to do this. I want you to take out your CMOS
So
battery.
clean it up. Let's get that all cleaned up, and then we'll be ready for one of the final stages. We're gonna put this in an oven, and we're gonna bake it at 425 degrees for 8 minutes. Okay, that's why you have to take this battery out. Do not forget to take the CMOS battery out. Because if you forget to take this battery out, you're gonna blow that thing up in your oven. And like I said, you're taking also a risk. That's the type of carcinogens by putting this in the oven to begin with. Now you can also use a heat gun.
This is your graphics card, and that's your CPU. So, anyway, wipe it all nice and clean. Don't forget, get your CMOS out. So you get your flathead. Pop out the battery from that little open slot right there. You'll notice it's got an opening. You're not going to pop it from this side because it ain't going to pop out. But anyway, you get the point. So now we're ready to preheat our oven for 425 degrees. And then you're going to have to prepare a baking sheet. And I want you to stress a few things at the beginning of this, is that you do not bend this board. Even when you're cleaning the CPU unit, be sure that your hand is on the back side holding and you're rubbing it. So that way you're not flexing the board, because you don't want to crack any of this thin, as you can see those lines, you don't want to crack any of those lines, because then you're going to have problems, and you also crack capacitor. So we're ready to go. We've got our CMOS battery removed, we've got our graphics card cleaned up, and we got our CPU cleaned up. So now we're ready to bake it in the oven. So like I said, 425, 8 minutes, be sure you preheat it, be sure everything's good. Do not open the oven door during the 8 minutes to check on it. You have to wait for it to complete. And don't worry, I've done this before. I've done it actually 3 times, and I've fixed every time I fixed what I was working on. When you're setting this on the baking sheet, you want to be sure that those 2 prongs are facing down, and that you have the actual edge on the lip, but you don't want to push it too far up, because you got to realize that you still have you know, you got that strip right there. You can basically rest it on something. But you don't want to get any of the capacitors or anything on there because it's going to jack it up if you do. Because you're about to put 425 degrees of heat on this. Oh, guys, I almost forgot. When I flipped it over, I did realize we have to take these little sticky things off here because these will burn in the oven. So set those off to the side and remember where they're at because they're in key points that something metallic's probably touching it. Which I believe is a heatsink in this case. So, like I was saying earlier, if you have a different model PlayStation, it may have black ones that are here, here, and here, and some other various places on the other side. But be sure that all those are removed. Anything gummy is going to be able to catch on fire. So. Now remember, don't move this for 20 minutes. If you move it, you're going to brick your PlayStation, trust me. Also, I recommend that this is a good time for you to clean your oven or put it on broil for about 45 minutes just to be sure that any type of smell that might be in there gets out, and it makes it safe for you to eat too. Fan's good if you've got a fan for it. Okay, now for this part, you're going to need to get some thermal compound. The kind that I recommend to use, I really do recommend to use it, is Arctic Formula 5. Antec, this is kind of the higher end one, but it's just a silver thermal compound if you want to get one that's an off name. It doesn't really matter. Basically, you just want to put kind of a small coat of this. Put it on this side since the camera's over here. So really, all you need is 2 little strips there. Stuff is so hard to get out of this tube. It's probably because I'm out of it. Yeah, I am. Well, to make this work, squeeze it with all my might. Good thing to remember with these screws on which ones go where. Anytime you see a screw and it's got a really fine thread, a machine head, then that's going to go into metal. And then these really rough, jagged, coarse screws are going to always go into plastic. So keep that in mind when you're doing this part because it'll help. We'll go and power it on. And we have no blinking red light yet. So what I normally do when I fix these for people, and everything looks good to go. Usually what I do when I fix these for people is I'll leave this running for a couple hours, the game's spinning in it, and that usually lets me know if it's going to be alright, but it's not guaranteed it's going to work unless you put it in a tower like mine where overheating is damn near impossible. But other than that, guys, I hope I fixed your PlayStation. There's hundreds of tutorials out there. I hope mine was simple and easy and to the point.